Hi guys, welcome back. Federal workers are facing a tough choice this week. Either take a deferred resignation deal that's on the table or don't, with the not so subtle implication that if you don't, you might regret it. You private sector folks might want to pay attention too, because whatever precedents get set here will eventually find their way through the courts to you. And I can say that because I've seen it before. When I was a young Fed, the administration fired 1,300 federal air traffic controllers who were on strike. Now, at the time, there were big questions about whether that was even legal, but they did it, and most of those workers never got their jobs back. In that moment, the federal government sent a very clear message to corporate America. We can strip federal workers of their rights, and you can do the same with your workers. The media helped push a narrative that said the strike was a power play by corrupt union officials without regard to what was best for their workers. And as that story gained traction, the union lost a lot of its power, paving the way for stagnant wages and eventually things like at-will employment and shipping American jobs overseas. Now, were those unions corrupt? Maybe. But corruption isn't just a union problem, it's a power problem. Powerful employers are also corrupt, and so are politicians. But the media wasn't talking about their contributions to this situation. The only kinds of corruption they wanted to expose were the kinds that made it easier for those employers to curtail the rights of their workers. And that's not surprising considering that a lot of those media outlets were actually owned by some of the most corrupt and powerful employers out there. Now we're seeing that same playbook with this deferred resignation deal. Media outlets, politicians, bots, and trolls are creating a narrative that federal workers are worthless. So worthless that, just like those air traffic controllers back in the day, we deserve to lose our rights. And as long as the public buys into that narrative that we feds are deadbeats with too many rights, then nobody's going to care as they take those rights away, setting precedents that are eventually going to apply to all workers. Now let's talk about this deferred resignation deal. The offer is simple. Eligible federal employees who submit their resignations by February 6th will be put on administrative leave and paid their full salary to stay home until September 30th when their resignation becomes final. Seems straightforward, right? Except there's a lot of discussion about whether this is even legal. And federal agencies generally aren't allowed to pay their employees not to work for long periods of time. And even if it is legal, Congress still has to fund it, which they haven't done yet. And if they decide not to, feds who take this deal could end up resigned without getting any of the compensation they were promised. Now, I may not be an attorney, but even I can see that this is a big gray area, and that makes it risky. That alone would make me think twice about taking this deal. The process for resigning raises even more red flags. All you have to do to accept this deal is reply to an email with the word resign in the subject line. Now, my problem with that is that a subject line is not a contract. What terms are we signing up to when we send this email? What keeps them from backtracking? What assurances do we have that they're going to follow through with the compensation that they promised us in exchange for a resignation? Just in case you think I'm being alarmist, let's take a minute to look at what OPM actually put in the memo that they sent out with this deal. Now, their memo includes this resignation letter, which I assume is what we're signing up to when we send this email, although it really doesn't say explicitly that's the case. One line states, "Given my impending resignation, I understand I will be exempt from any return to office requirements pursuant to recent directives, and that I will maintain my current compensation and retain all existing benefits, including but not limited to retirement accruals, until my final resignation date." This line sounds good. It guarantees that we'll keep getting our pay and benefits until our resignation takes effect, but it doesn't say anything about putting us on administrative leave. I'm certain of my decision to resign, and my choice to resign is fully voluntary. This line is insurance for them, so we can't come back later and claim that we were coerced into resigning. And I'd have a problem signing up to that because, To me, this feels like coercion. I understand my employing agency will likely make adjustments in response to my resignation, including moving, eliminating, consolidating, reassigning my position and tasks, reducing my official duties, and/or placing me on paid administrative leave until my resignation date. Translation: once you've submitted your resignation, they can do whatever they want with your job. Change your duties, eliminate your position, require you to keep working in another job. Check out the wording and/or placing me on administrative leave. That means they can place you on administrative leave, but they're not required to. And then there's this kicker. I'm committed to ensuring a smooth transition during my remaining time at my employing agency. Accordingly, I will assist my employing agency with completing reasonable and customary tasks and processes to facilitate my departure. Train your replacement. Document all your processes so that an unqualified and untrained person can maybe come in later and take over your job. Whatever they ask for, there's a good chance that you've already agreed to do it just by sending that email. And while you're doing it, you're not on paid administrative leave. So with all these conditions and gray areas, the question is, do you trust your agency to make good on a deal like this? Because personally, I couldn't. Now, I get that for some of you, this might actually be a good thing. Some agencies are offering voluntary early retirements, and if you're thinking about retirement anyway, that could be a sweet deal. And I understand that some agencies are even offering upfront separation incentives, which could also sweeten the pot. And if you have a very marketable skill set that's worth more money in the private sector, then I can certainly understand you being tempted to take this deal too. But after hearing what I have to say today, if you're on the fence at all, please talk to an employment attorney before you send that email. If nothing else, they may be able to help you resign in a way that leaves you with some legal recourse, just in case your agency decides to fight dirty. And let's be honest, most of these agencies are going to fight dirty. So should you take this deal or not? And like I said, there are some situations where I think you might want to. But if you're in a situation where you need to rely on that compensation as a sure thing, I'd think twice. I don't see this as a buyout or even as a generous severance package. It's a vague, legally questionable deal that I'm sure is set up to benefit them way more than us workers. If this deal falls apart, we're going to be the ones left holding the bag for trusting our employers to do the right thing. I don't know about any of you, but personally, I'm not buying it. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. If you're thinking about taking this deal, let me know what your reasons are. That's it for today. I'll see you guys next time. Till then, take care and hang in.